Hey, yo, what's up, YouTube, man? It's your boy, Ashton Jackson. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Trevon Diggs situation, and then we're also going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys versus Broncos preview matchup and the ways in which that the Dallas Cowboys can win this game. So before we hop into the video, I would appreciate if you guys liked the video, subscribe if you're new, comment, and share my video with anyone who you think will enjoy my content. Man, we're going to be talking about the Trevon Diggs situation. And the Dallas Cowboys have moved him to IR and will miss a minimum of 4 games. We have elevated from the practice squad Malik Davis, Corey Ballantyne, and then Cooper Beebe did return to practice this week but will not be activated. So did DeMarvin Overshown and Trevon Revel Jr. They both have returned. All 3 of them has returned to practice. We're more than likely going to get Cooper Beebe either by that Raiders game, so after the bye week, or we might get him next week versus not Kansas City, but on Monday night. Trevon Revel, we don't know really the timetable on that, but DeMarvin Overshown, it has been announced that he might be able to return versus that Raiders game, so that'd be perfect. Ronnie Thomas has also been ruled out with a migraine. Donovan Wilson is also out, and Malik Hooker has been placed on IR, which we already know that a few weeks ago. So really, with this Trevon Diggs situation, everything has been a mystery, in my opinion, in terms of just the recent events about this concussion he occurred that he suffered at home. We're not really sure what happened. It's probably been reported that he probably got into some sort of incident with somebody else and might have been a fight or something of that nature. Not sure, but those are just speculations. Those are just rumors. I'm not sure on the situation, but if you had a head trauma at the house and caused you to now miss 2 games and now an additional 4, we don't really know what happened at that situation. Nothing has been public, nothing has been tweeted out. We don't know anything about the Trevon Diggs situation. Again, everything has been really downhill for him after he tore his ACL the first time, and then he comes back in 2024, has a down year. He ruptures his knee again. He's out for the remainder of the year after that Cincinnati Bengals game, December 9th, 2024. And then he comes back. Basically, I felt like, Dallas Cowboys fined him $500,000. I felt like that was part of that. Then the team trying to say he wasn't rehabbing with the team. Then he was releasing videos in the offseason about him rehabbing, and then him rehabbing with a personal trainer, not the Dallas Cowboys. And then after that fine being $500,000, he comes back to the field earlier than expected. I didn't expect Trevon Diggs to be playing for us until around this time, around November, was when I was expecting Trevon Diggs to suit up and play for us. So the fact that he came out week 1 was for sure ahead of schedule, and that was a plus for him. And then once you saw that he doesn't have the same explosion coming out of his breaks like how he used to. He would be able to play catch up. He'll let a wide receiver run past him a couple of yards, and he'll have that makeup speed to go back and go make a play, right? So you can obviously still tell that Trevon Diggs is not completely healthy, but it does seem like the writing is on the wall, and the writing has been on the wall probably for the past year and a half now, that Trevon Diggs is possibly not going to be a Dallas Cowboy. And it does suck, because when he's at his best, he's an all-pro type of corner, but if the Dallas Cowboys don't have a plan in place to actually replace Trevon Diggs and get better at that spot, then I would try to keep him, because you have at least this year, you got 2 more years left on his contract. You got $5 million cap hit next year, and then you got a $2 million cap hit the year after that, and the year after that $2 million cap hit, he'll be a free agent. But I don't want this to be a situation where, because we're mad at Trevon Diggs and the cornerback room hasn't been that great, that we just want to get rid of him. Because we know that when he's at his best, what he can potentially be. Understanding, yes, he has a lot of negatives that come to his game. Some people want to question his effort. Some people want to question, his physicality. For sure, he doesn't like to tackle, but he tackles. You've seen some times when he does want to tackle, he can. But again, that's the problem that a lot of people have with him, is that it's too wish-washy. He's not consistent enough, and he's been more of a headache than he has been a really good player on the field. I understand that, but Trevon Diggs is one of your best players when he's on the field. And then outside of this situation, what has he really done to really make the Joneses mad in terms of, yeah, not training with the team, but he was trying to train on himself to make sure he can get himself better to come back out and play. You know what I mean? It wasn't like with prior Cowboys. It wasn't like he was doing anything maliciously outside. He wasn't doing any of the crazy things that former Dallas Cowboy players have done. But again, it is what it is with Trevon Diggs. There's not much that we can really say or do that'll keep him on the team, right? So now we're going to talk about the game, right? Trevon Diggs, of course, is going to be out. DeMarvin Overshown, Savon Revel, Cooper Beebe are all listed as out, and so is Donovan Wilson. We did talk about Wanye Thomas going to be out. Full participants in practice were Kalen Carson, Kenny Clark, Jonathan Mingo, Kenneth Murray, Mozzie Smith, Tyler Smith. Those were all full goes. Guyton was limited in practices with a glute situation. We don't know if he's going to be ready to play or not. Marshawn Nealon was a full participant on Friday's practice. And Johnny Cornelius has still been on the practice squad, or not practice squad, but listed on the injury report list as questionable. The bad news for good news for the Broncos, but bad news for us. The Broncos are fully healthy. They're going to be with all of their guys. So again, we're going to be without some people, but they're going to have everybody mainly for them. The number one thing that I believe that the Dallas Cowboys have to do to win this game is offensively, man, they have to be strategic in the way that they attack this defense. They like to play a lot of cover one man. So, some situations that the Dallas Cowboys can do, create some rub routes, create a lot of traffic and have guys run wide open, some over routes, some in-breaking routes, some posts, some corners, things like that. Some trip sets where, you can have a wheel route and, again, just create a lot of rub situations where you have a lot of guys having to communicate and pick things up. But the number one guy in the find the scrub on that defense that I'm trying to attack is Alex Singleton. I've seen a couple of times when he's out in coverage trying to cover either whether it's a tight end or one of these elusive running backs, whether I saw versus the Colts or what I saw versus Philly, Alex Singleton can for sure get picked on, and I'm hoping that the Dallas Cowboys, that this offense, Clayton Adams, everybody is looking at that and willing to make the adjustments necessary to make that happen. Your offensive line is going to be the key part in this game. Why? Because Zach Allen, Nick Benito, Jonathan Cooper, they're all elite. They all have multiple sacks on the season. Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper both have been winning, AFC Defensive Player of the Week, the month. So those are some really dynamic edge rushers, but really got to pay attention also to the interior of your offensive line, because you got Zach Allen, who's formerly with the Arizona Cardinals, got signed up by the Broncos. He's a really damn good player, interior as well. I really like the way that this defensive line is playing for the Denver Broncos, but the Dallas Cowboys have to pay attention to that, and they have to hold up, and Dak Prescott will have to step up and make some throws. Nothing is new about that, but that's going to be a key emphasis in tomorrow's game, that this offensive line has to bring their P's and Q's for us to win this game. Another thing that I want to do is make sure that we set up third and long situations, because with the great defensive line that they do have all over the place, from left to right end, they are just stacked defensively, right? You got to stay out of those third and long situations. You do not want those guys teeing off on your quarterback, right? But again, the last time we were worried about a defensive line, which was the Green Bay Packers, we decided to run the ball and lean on them. I think that's another key thing that we have to do in this game, is that the run game has to be effective. I'm not expecting a big rushing game from this team because they're one of the best defenses all around, whether they're the best third down defense, one of the top 5 and red zone defense, top 5 and top 10 in stopping the run. They're a damn good defense overall. I know they only have a few takeaways, but they've been really stout, right? And that's what their defense has been doing. Now, what happened last week, 30 points against Jackson Dart, you can contribute that to dealing with a rookie, not a lot of tape, and a lot of those guys just wanted to play above expectations, and that's what happened with the New York Giants. But the Giants should not have hung 30, but that's an outlier. You look at their other games, Philly, they held under 20-plus points. The Jets, they only allowed 11, so that's a really good defense. The Dallas Cowboys, we have to attack Riley Moss, and we have to do that with deep speed. Anything within 5 to 15 yards, Riley Moss is really good. Anything he has to cover deep, he's going to get burnt. He's going to get toasted. There has been a couple of times where Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, I've seen a couple of guys that were able to get past Riley Moss when the Broncos have been suiting up and playing against players. Rondell Robinson has had a really good performance against this Broncos defense. So attack Riley Moss. And also, I believe CeeDee Lamb also needs to play in the slot in certain situations. Not that we mainly need to keep him in the slot, but that we need to make sure that CeeDee Lamb has a lot of mismatches and that we're putting him on in the slot. Where is Pat Surtain going to go? He's possibly he might stick on one side, and he might be on the side where George Pickens is going to be. But George Pickens had one really good game against the Denver Broncos, and especially versus Pat Surtain, when Pat Surtain won Defensive Player of the Year last year on that side. And again, doing what he does well, being very physical, they're both handsy type players. They're both strong and physical, and that George Pickens does a really good job of drawing a lot of penalties. So I think that's what is going to have to happen in today's game as well. Also, the tight end room needs to eat in this game. Beverin, Jake Ferguson, they have to make plays, right? Tyler Warren has been making some plays. Dallas Goedert had a really good game. I really do feel like, our tight end room is going to have to be effective in today's game, and we're going to have to make some plays as well. We can't turn the ball over offensively. We talk about that every week. We have to play and have to be as perfect as possible. Defensively, man, let's make sure that we're stopping the run and we're having a chokehold on that run, and let's force this team to be one-dimensional as well. And while we're doing that and stopping the run, we also have to pay attention to Bo Nix and what he can do with his legs, and making sure that he's not getting elusive out of the pocket or, breaking sacks and making plays, right? We can't have that happen. We also have to force some takeaways for us to even have a chance in this game, because I felt like we're going to be able to put up some points as well, but Denver can put up points as well, and especially with how shaky your defense has been, we have to try and force some takeaways. And then lastly, limit the penalties, and then we also going to have some safety help. Donovan Wilson is going to be out. Wanye is going to be out. So, you're going to have Marquise Bell leading the charge. You're going to have Elijah Clark, and you're probably going to have Julius Wood. I don't know. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys have put him on the active roster, but we're going to have to pay attention to that safety room, and we're going to need those guys to, for sure, cover. So that's about it for the video. Hope you guys have a nice day. Stay safe, stay blessed. Bye.